You're listening to the Best Advice Podcast, guys. If you haven't already, give us a 5-star review and help spread the word. And if you have a question for the guys, email a voice recording to podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com. That's podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Security Financial Management. If you're ready to level up your financial game, SFM offers a free initial consultation after each episode. Just send an email to podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com with the subject line complimentary consultation to book yours today.
Ooh, welcome back to Best Advice Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Rob Lovaglio, here as always with Austin Fatzz Jacks, Frank Lovaglio, and Dave Allen. And gentlemen, what's crack-a-lacking?
What's crack-a-lacking?
Crack-a-lack.
I had a little extra triangle at the end of it.
That
was good. Yeah, it had a little hot air on that one. I liked it.
We start each episode with a powerful practice of positive thinking. We like to call this episode, Give Me Something Good. Today's my turn.
All right, well then, Rob, if it's your turn, then give me some good.
Hey, give me something good.
All right, one of my favorite quotes. I'm going to keep it simple today, guys, but one of my favorite quotes is, every man has two lives, right? The first life starts when they're born, and that second life starts once they realize that they only have one life.
What age is that where that second life starts?
It's 50 years old, where it's like the midlife crisis.
Yeah.
I think that's where the midlife crisis comes from.
Yeah.
Is that second,
Could
like,
be.
whoa, I'm halfway through my life.
Yeah.
I only have one of these.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you when I see it happen a lot with people is when a loved one dies and they're like, wait a minute, or a good friend dies.
Yeah.
This
You
is real.
realize how-
I need to enjoy my life.
Yeah.
And
You
some
realize
people
how
never
fleeting.
do. It's really sad.
Yeah,
Some people
yeah.
never, ever do. And guess what they do? They got a lot of wealth. They leave it all to somebody else. Have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. You got to be careful. You know, to play off that a little bit, we have it all the time, Austin and Dave and me as well. You have clients come in, they're like, hey, I've got X amount of my portfolio. As soon as I get to this amount, that's when I'm really going to slow down. I'm really going to be happy. And you can chase it all the time. You can chase it. And then we see all the time where someone says, if I can get this one more, edge on my portfolio, I'm going to slow down. And they never really do.
Yeah.
And then, sadly, at some point they pass away. And then all these other people are enjoying their wealth. So I think that there's that work-life balance that we try to do here. I think we do it pretty well, where we hit it hard, but also play hard when you can and enjoy it because it's fleeting.
And we encourage our
Yeah.
clients to do that
Yeah.
too, especially the ones that are like that. You have to say,
Don't
Come on, man.
over worry about it.
don't over worry. There's things you can't control. Go enjoy your life, because guess what happens? Someone else is going to really enjoy your hard work. And guess what? They don't respect it like you do. And we have some people that leave money because they don't have any kids or a spouse, and they leave it to a nephew or a niece. And guess how fast that money goes? They
Seen it.
blow it most times.
It kind of
Some
reminds
respect
me,
it, but most.
you have things going on in your life, and like 2 years ago, it seems like do or die. Like, this is everything in my life, and then you look back and you're like, wow, it was kind of minimal, right?
Yeah, you don't you realize it wasn't as big a deal, but that was a really good point. And the other thing we've seen a lot of, we got to teach people as advisors. We do it all the time, and then people got to take ownership themselves. What I find, and I'm sure that Austin and Dave would agree, people that have figured out a way to accumulate some wealth or be stable, or basically here's my bills and here's my income, and create a positive kind of cash flow in their lives, are the perfect prospects to inherit wealth. Because if you've never gotten there and you inherit wealth, if you don't understand it and you never mastered a little bit of it yourself, you're going to blow through. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone pass away, and then whether it's a child or a cousin or whoever that never managed their own affairs, and then it's gone. Think about all the lottery winners that come in, they get $5 million out of nowhere, and you hear that 90% of them, in 10 years are broke. So I think it's important to understand and teach clients, you've got to establish your own wherewithal first. So then when you get wealth, you know what to do with it. So we don't have to beat it up, but I think those are good lessons that are good to hear.
Beautiful. Today's question comes from Caitlin from Clearwater. Caitlin, what you got for us?
You want to say something?
Okay, guys, Caitlin sent in, I'm trying to understand the differences between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. Can you run me through some of the pros and cons of using these different investment vehicles and which might make the most sense for me and my investment style?
All right. Thank you. Dad, you want to start off with the Roth IRA?
I'll do it. Yeah. So one of the things that we like about the Roth IRA that differentiates itself, and Austin's going to go into the traditional, but the thing that I like about the Roth is that it's tax-free accumulation and tax-free withdrawal. So that gives people a lot of opportunities to be able to accumulate wealth on a tax-free basis. But a couple of things, there's a few rules in there I wanted to kind of share. I mean, the reason why I like a Roth 401k for those people that are high earners, because a regular Roth, if you make over $138,000, you really can't do a full Roth. It starts to scale down at $153,000. That was for single. If you're married at $218,000, it starts to pare down into $228,000. You can't do one at all. So there's limitations if you're trying to put money in a regular Roth IRA. So the workaround there is most big corporations now, and if be big, usually over 25 employees or more, are starting to. You got to look at your plan document if you're listening. But a lot of companies now are expanding from the traditional old 401k to the Roth 401k.
They have both options, right?
Yeah, they have both. I mean, the thing that's nice about that is you don't have that limitation of $138,000 single and $218,000 married. And you can put into in a regular after-tax Roth IRA, $22,000 or $23,000 now in 2024 in a Roth IRA, up to $30,500 if you're over 50. So if you're over 50 years old, you can plow away over $30,000 in a Roth 401k versus the rules if it was a regular IRA, a Roth IRA that's not in the 401k structure, you can only do $7,000 and then $8,000 if you're over 50. So $8,000 versus $30,500. That's kind of a big deal.
It's a big
and remember, you put $30,000 a year, just make it fun. 30,000 times 10 is 300,000. Let's say you get pretty good growth on there. And over the rule of 72 is you get 10%, which is a bigger number just for purpose of discussion. In 7 years, it would double. So basically 300,000 turns into 600,000 under that scenario. And then you can take that out tax-free. So you got $600,000 tax-free coming out, given that simple example. Now, we all know it's not easy to put $30,000 a year in, but as you start to build your wealth and your income, you might be able to do that. Versus the regular, traditional. Tell us about the traditional piece.
Right. So for the Roth, like Frank was saying, I mean, when you deposit that money, you're paying taxes on the money that you deposit into the Roth IRA or 401k. For a traditional, it's tax deferred. So whenever you contribute to an IRA or 401k, that reduces your taxable income in that current year. So for high earners, contributing to the traditional IRA or 401k is nice because it mitigates their tax bill in that current year. That being said, depending on your age and your time horizon on when you need access to that money, it might make sense to do traditional versus Roth, but really it's, do you want to defer taxes until later or pay taxes now to get a tax-free distribution in the future?
So Austin, on that, a lot of our clients commonly ask us when we're helping them with their 401ks at work is, which one do I do?
Right.
Which one do I do? And so many times it's like, they're both good.
Yeah. Different purposes.
Let's go half and half, guys. So you've got both. You'll get some tax break today.
Right.
And some tax break tomorrow. So, and then if you're not concerned about your tax break today, get into a Roth and let it go there. So everybody's circumstances are different.
So what's the strategy? Traditionally, if you're making more, what do you for a Roth, for a traditional IRA, your income way lower when you're getting taxed on it? Is that like what?
But if you're making more today,
So you're saying like,
So
right?
the idea is when you take distributions in the future in retirement, you're not working anymore. So your taxable income is less.
Right.
Meaning that when you take it, hopefully, we don't know what taxes will be in the future, but the idea is your taxable income is less so that when you do take a distribution, you're paying less taxes than you would when you're making a high income to whatever
it is.
Exactly.
And the key to that, Robert, too, and we see that, Dave and Austin, and as well, is distribution of money when you retire is a very important component of being successful in retirement.
Last show was on, yeah.
It's difficult because
so what we try life for it too, right?
Yeah, what we try to educate clients on is maybe a combination. So, when you put money in a 401k, traditional 401k, you reduce your taxes. So whatever your tax rate is, you're putting the money in pre-tax. The antithesis of that is in a Roth IRA, you're paying tax first and then putting it in, but then it grows tax-free. So when you go to withdraw it, it's much more tax efficient out of the Roth because it's tax-free withdrawal. On the other side, when you take money out of a traditional IRA, and we've talked about this on other shows, if you're fortunate enough to accumulate $1 million in a 401k after 30, 40 years of hard work, when you go to pull money out of that, it's really 75 cent dollars just to be broad. So $1 million is really 750,000. If you're in the highest bracket, $1 million might be 620,000. I mean, a 39 top bracket. So it's a lot of difference. So when people go, I have $1 million, they're like, well, you kind of do, but you can't spend federal government money. You really have $600,000 or $700,000.
Are you technically a millionaire then?
Well, you're not really. You're a pre-tax millionaire.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's interesting, but that's the key is when you withdraw, maybe a balance of the two.
All right. Hope that helps, Caitlin. Remember, folks, the secret to wealth is not what you earn, it's what you keep. Happy days, everybody.
This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not intended as personal financial advice. Before making any financial decision, please do your own research and consult a financial advisor as needed. If you have a question for the guys, email podcast@bestadvicepodcastguys.com.